part of the Earglue Media family of podcast.
You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 322, Shattered. We are looking back at the penultimate episode of not only season 7 of the Clone Wars, but of the actual series finale. It's our series itself. So we're doing this live. This is the first time that I've done it. I know the guys used to do this a long time ago. So hopefully everything goes all right. We've got all the gremlins worked out. We did that about 30 seconds before coming on air. And speaking of gremlins, here with me tonight is none other than the executive producer of this show and Earglue Media, also the Dark Lord of podcasting, Mike Rondo. Mike, welcome to our live broadcast of episode 322.
I know this is like going back in time. Like the last time we did this was the Last Jedi, I think, on at least on our Cantina Cast YouTube page.
Right.
So yeah, this is gonna be a wild trip. We're trying something new. It seems like this is what this kind of episode warrants a live stream, a live recording of this. So what the heck? Why not try it? We got nothing that better to do, right? So we might as well just. And nobody else has anything to do these days because
no one's going to watch us anyway. So
yeah, probably not. I don't blame them anyway. So
welcome to the show. Before we get started, I just want to say our official sponsor tonight of the Cantina Cast is Dunkin' Donuts Coffee. So thank you so much for the free donut coffee there. Hey, also,
yes.
what do you got on there? What are you wearing? Let's see your shirt here because I saw. You've got you're sporting. What a cheerleader! You're a corporate man. You got all.
Yeah. Well, I own the thing. I should probably promote it a little. That's I mean, you're gonna pay the bills somehow. So
I actually broke out my celebration. If you can see that.
The mall. Yeah.
I hadn't really worn this much, but
when
I bought the shirt.
Yeah.
When I bought the shirt almost a year ago to this day, it was over a year ago.
Yes, it was.
I was really kind of debating. I wasn't sure to go with Darth Maul. I wanted the Mandalorian. I think I didn't get the Mandalorian because it was sold out everywhere. But I got to say, after these last couple of episodes, I'm pretty stoked that I picked up this Darth Maul shirt because, it's a different character almost. So
yeah, well, I was gonna say you've been intrigued by Maul throughout this arc, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
This whole thing. He's very intriguing of late. So, but anyway, I'm looking
worked
forward
out well.
to
Couldn't have timed that better. Planned it better anyway.
Just a side note, everybody in the chat, we're not ignoring you. It's just we got to concentrate on the show and what we got to do. I will highlight your comments as we go. But in any case, and those of you that are listening the normal way, the audio, sorry you can't see those comments, I guess. But anyway, that's it.
And concentrate on the show as much as we normally do, which is not a whole lot. But we probably should put some effort into this. So
but we're gonna try.
All right, let's do this. Let's get into. I got one thing to talk about as far as news goes, and there were a couple other things that were minor, more speculation, that sort of thing. But what was it? Wednesday, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday, we got the final update, final download package. What do they call these things for Battlefront 2?
Patch, whatever.
Sure, new content, right?
Yeah.
And I know we probably did we talk about this on EGM this week? Roundtable?
No, actually, surprisingly, last night we didn't even talk about it last night.
Okay, so let's do this because you and we jumped into this game together. Back when it launched. And
I missed my loot boxes. Paying to win. It was great, but
we had a good time playing the game. And then I think we had Katie was on there, myself.
Yes, yep.
I'm trying to think who else. Jonesy was obviously playing. Who else was on there? And I'm sorry,
Joe
was on there. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of it. Anyways, we had a great time. That was really fun. I think we had probably more fun playing, speaking with one another and just getting to know each other in a different way than we actually were playing. Half the time, I don't even know what I was doing. I was just running around aimlessly.
Well, we know I don't. I mean, I was just, the heavy guy. Yeah, I just was shooting everything.
Hand and fodder. Yeah, we'd let you go first, and then we'd all fall in line behind you. So,
well, that's what I call being a leader, Albert. That's what that is.
Right.
Okay? I go head first and die for my troops. That's what I was doing.
Yeah. But so I don't know if everybody still who plays that game anymore, at least from the old group that we had. But
Indiana Jim, I think, still plays it.
Yes,
I think he still plays.
That's right. He was on there for a while too.
Yeah. I don't. I haven't played since. God, I don't know. I think what the put off with me was they never developed the story any more than what that initial thing. Like they
You
had
talking about
two
the
up.
single player story?
Yeah, the single player thing. I think that would have kept me involved a little bit more. I wish they just did it more, and they didn't because it seemed like it was going to be a thing, and then it kind of was like, eh. And I think that put me off. It's like, all right, I get why you want to invest in the multiplayer stuff. That's cool.
Where the
I
money's
like,
at.
yeah, I
The
get
additional
that.
revenue, right? Yeah.
Correct, but don't BS us and say, oh, we're going to invest. It's about story and this that, and come up with this cockamamie story, and then you just fizzle it out, and and of course one of our favorite characters there that was created, and we never get to see him again. So
You
it
talking
kind
about
of.
Aiden Versio?
No, well, I didn't. Yes, of course, but what's his name there? Begins with the alien there. What's his name? Oh, I can't even think. It begins with an S. What's his name? It's not Sheev, but it's something
Oh,
else.
Shiv.
Shiv. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
no.
get him and the Emperor mixed up, huh?
The names.
Yeah. But yeah. So that kind of put me off, and it was, and of course it's EA, and there was a lot of problems in the beginning,
Right.
and they seem to have smoothed it out. But all
Yeah.
things come to an end, so this is what happens.
And I'm not, so I do dabble in that game every once in a while. It's a way to just kind of decompress. So I don't play it as religiously as my family does.
Yeah.
I will say that from what I've played, it really is. There's a lot of things they've changed. I mean, they've tweaked the combat everywhere, whether it's lightsaber combat, gun battles themselves. They brought a lot of balance to the game.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Yes.
And they've done they did away with the loot boxes. I think they, more than anything, this game for me is, I think that DICE is going to be remembered for how they reacted, and they kind of broke themselves down in order to build themselves back up, to build this game back up, to really acquire new people into it that had been turned away and were soured by the loot boxes and all of that. So all that to say, I really think that this game, I'm going to miss it. I really am going to miss this game, and hopefully it'll be around. I mean, it's not going anywhere. Again, we're just not getting any DLC. That's the word I was looking for. Can we just start the whole show over?
No, we've already been skating on thin ice before the show, so let's not go through that again.
But yeah, so we're not going to get any additional DLC, and this patch really didn't have a whole lot. I mean, it had Scarif, which ironically was the last map I believe that they released in Battlefront 1.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that is. It's just like it's an omen, I guess. But
Yeah.
we won't get anything more in terms of DLC going forward. But they're going to keep the servers running, and you can still play all the game modes and all of that. So the game's not going anywhere. So I'm hoping that I'd like to get the group back together, get the gang, get the band back together, and play some more just for old time's sake. And
Well,
so
if we
I
can
don't know.
stream that, I would like to do that. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. If we could have one last hurrah as a group,
That'd be great.
we'll see what we can do.
So if you're on our Discord, that's probably where we're going to hit you up and start all this up. So I don't want to overpromise anything, oversell anything, but even if it's just a casual thing, it would be cool to connect and speak and play the game one more time. So
True.
anyways.
All right, let's get into the good stuff. So.
All right, the good stuff. So let's talk about episode 322, Shattered. And we had some speculation going into the show about what Shattered meant.
Yeah.
Do you feel like we got that answered? I mean, I think
I guess maybe for Rex, and because his mind shattered for a moment, and even Ahsoka, right? And I don't want to say Maul, because Maul, he saw this all coming, but I don't know. I guess that's what I would say. And everything's this is the shatter point, right? Like everything is now changed forever, and that's kind of, I guess, where they were going with it. It is a peculiar title, because you think he would have just called it Order 66, because
that's what that's all everybody's been talking about now is Order 66 episode, unfortunately.
True.
But I would say, I think we were kind of, I mean, it wasn't a big surprise, but I think the perspective of this being shattering, right? The galaxy is shattered, not physically, but everything that we knew is completely different from this day forward, right? The minute Order 66 happened, everything changed. Our worlds were shattered. Our visions were shattered. Our ideals were shattered. I mean, everything just changed. And I think that's really what it was. And so it happened, at an individual level with maybe somebody like Rex or Ahsoka, or even, we haven't seen this yet, but even like the Mandalores themselves, right? Everything changed from that moment. And so I thought it's an appropriate title, but to your point, maybe they should have just called this Order 66, because that would have been probably just straight to the point.
Yeah, because it was. I mean, we'd waited all this time since the beginning of the movie, the Clone Wars movie, and we knew as the seasons were going on, we're like, all right, well, how does this end? Because we can't keep going. We know that this is a finite thing, because at some point we're going to have to end this, and how is it going to tie into Order 66? Is it going to be just before, like they did in the original Clone Wars cartoon, or is it going to be during? And we got that answer now.
Yeah.
But why not just call it Order 66? I don't know. It's
So
know.
what? Let me ask you this. So I guess give me your overall thoughts on the episode itself. How did you feel watching it? And then
Well,
kind of how you felt afterwards.
It's very well, as I told you last night briefly on the roundtable that we did last night on EGM. I tried to do what you did and stay up late and just watch on through. I tried to do that. I couldn't do it. So I fell asleep. I set my watch to like 3:30 or whatever, and I woke up maybe 10 minutes later after that.
Yeah.
So I was a little groggy, and then I watched it, and I kind of woke up because I think going in, we know it's the shoe's going to drop. Like it is happening, right? And it's just this, and the music, was it Kevin
Kiner?
Yeah. Him and Dave, the last two episodes played the music very well. I mean, you could almost argue that this was more of a silent film, which is kind of what George does mostly. Like his best moments are when there's no speaking. It's all based on emotion and music and facial expressions and everything. And they pulled it off here, and it was just so ominous. And I was feeling like, oh, how is this going to play out? Like I was feeling the ominous feeling. I knew it was coming. I didn't get over emotional when it happened, and I said to myself, "Oh wow, Rex is going to turn. Like he's really going to do it." And then I'm thinking, canon things are flaring off, and we'll get into that in a moment. But overall, I thought it was great. But the best moment was after I watched it. My daughter woke up, and I couldn't go back to sleep because I got a million things in my head after that episode, so I couldn't stop thinking about things. And then all of a sudden, my daughter ran out, and she's like, "Daddy, can we watch the Clone Wars? Can we watch it?" And I said, "All right." I said, "Just be prepared because Rex is her guy. She loves Rex and Ahsoka. They're like her two favorite." And she basically, her Star Wars introduction is basically the Clone Wars. So she was a little nervous, but she adjusted because she goes, "Well, I know they make it out okay in the end, Daddy. I've seen Rebels and everything." So she wasn't too nervous. She was just shocked that Rex went with it. Like he had no choice. Like that was his thing. But she loved it too. And she also said, "Make sure you tell Albert and everybody that I love this episode," because she thinks she's the Clone Wars expert for the Cantina.
Well,
cast.
she is.
So,
She knows more than us. So
yes, that's
thank
true.
you. I'm glad Morgan enjoyed it.
Yes. So she enjoyed it, and I was happy about that. So yeah, what are your thoughts though? I know you posted something in Discord soon after that, and then you kind of fell asleep or something like that. But then you were struggling early on, which is funny because I thought I was going to be the one, because I kind of agree with you. This was kind of out of what we've seen the past two episodes. This was kind of the weaker one. And I don't know if that's because we had all this built up in our head over the last decade of how this is going to play out, how we're going to see Order 66. Like the show before, we were saying, are we going to see it from this point of view, that, or, and all this other stuff. And that didn't necessarily happen. I thought it was pretty good that it focused on the two main characters of the show. But anyway, give me your thoughts, sir.
Yeah, no, I would say, so I did. I mentioned this to Mike. I was struggling with the show, or the episode anyways. But the way I kind of reconciled it in my head is the best analogy I have is if somebody said, "Hey, what are your top 3 Star Wars movies? Or what are your top 10 Star Wars movies?" There are, probably 4 or 5 of them that are right at the top, and they're separated by petty things.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, when I watched this episode, I didn't feel like I did watching the first 2 episodes. So there's 2 things here. Well, this is the first thing about it. So I didn't feel like the first 2 episodes, but when I look at it, it is not. In fact, my first reaction was, it's an amazing episode, and I stand by that today. It is an amazing episode, beginning to end. It felt very different. It didn't leave me feeling the same way I felt during the first 2 episodes, and I think that's what I was struggling with, probably more than anything. But the other thing that I thought about with this episode is this had this. I think what's doing it injustice, and where I think it's even more powerful, right, is if you were to watch the first, second, and third back to back to back, and we weren't being broken up by a week in order to watch it. Thankfully, we only got 3 days here before the fourth episode comes out. But I think that's kind of where it felt like we were on this adrenaline rush. Episode 1, episode 2, the first episode, the second episode. We get to the third one, and things calm down, and it gets way more intense, way more emotional. I was still coming off the adrenaline, or expecting the adrenaline from the first 2. I think, again, if you watch all of these together as a movie, probably as it was designed, I think it's going to be a different experience, honestly. And I can't wait to do that. I haven't had a chance to do it, but I wanted to see somebody edit this thing down, or maybe they release it on Disney Plus as a final kind of one full episode.
Yeah, the Filoni cut. The Filoni cut.
Give me the Filoni cut. Where's
that's what I'm calling it, the Filoni cut. Because I think you're right. Because And I even said, and I didn't get a chance to do it today because I was going to do it prepping for the show. I was going to watch all three because that's typically what I do. I was watch one and then boom, boom, boom. I'll kind of watch it as it goes. Like I did that with The Mandalorian. I'd watch them and then kind of pick up where I did. But I couldn't do that because I had to do yard work today because it was a nice day and it's been raining all the time. So I wasn't able to do that. But I think you're right. In my mind, I'm thinking like, because the way it picks up, it's like they need to be watched back to back to back to back. Like
Sure.
you need to do that. And I think the Filoni cut, like I would like a DVD actually. And this is, or some kind of digital, like you said, where it's just all one thing and it just plays right through. We don't really have those breaks. Maybe like a transition somehow.
Yeah.
Dave does it that way when it's whatever scene and that does that. That would be great. So.
Yeah. The other thing, I think I was 8 minutes in, so 8 minutes into the episode, and on Discord, I had to post this. I just posted that I was getting an uneasy feeling. I forget what it was, but I know what I was feeling. I was getting a very uneasy feeling about the music.
Yeah.
It was dark to me. It was there was an ambient. It was almost like synthetic, like a very synthetic, foreboding kind of sound throughout.
It was ominous.
And it was very
yeah.
ominous. Like you know, you nailed it. Like in the first episode, we didn't hear it so much. When you go back and watch The Phantom Apprentice, or you listen while you're watching The Phantom Apprentice, there are moments, because I did have to go back and because I was like, this can't be the first time we heard it. It didn't stand out as much to me in that episode, I guess because everything else that was going on.
It was just raised like the volume or whatever
Yes.
they did.
Well, it's that I think they did probably do that intentionally, but there's, like you said, there's not much dialogue. There's not a lot of people talking. There's a lot of just silent moments, people in that moment, thinking about things, and you've got over with everything else going on. Order 66 is like imminent. We've been talking about it. The anticipation, anxiety has been building up until this point. When you couple that with what Kevin Kiner did here, and it does feel like it's a different take on the music, right? It's not what we would expect from somebody like John Williams. I can't even think where we've ever heard that in Star Wars, but I really enjoyed it, even though it was a departure from what maybe somebody like Williams has done in the past. So I can't talk enough about the music. I think it set the mood. I think it plays with your emotions in probably a really bad and a good way.
Yeah,
So,
because at one
hats off
point,
for him.
I think I was even saying to myself, as I'm watching it, and I know it's happening, I'm like, I don't even want it to happen.
Yeah.
Because the happy times of like Obi-Wan, Cody, Rex, Ahsoka, and Anakin being as a team doing their thing,
All done.
it's all done, and you're like, I don't want to lose that. And and the tragedy is we all know what's coming, and we know
Sure.
the change is coming. And it's like we went back in time, and if we could say something to him, we'd say, "Don't do this."
Right, yeah.
But we can't.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
Ahsoka saying, like, she probably should have told Anakin or Yoda, "Hey, by the way, Maul said this." But enough. We'll get to that at some point. But it's kind of like it was that whole feeling of like dread. They nailed the dread and what's to come, I guess. And he did it even worse because Ahsoka, and Rex having their salute and everything. And I did see a photo, and I posted in Discord of Ashley when we were at the celebration last year at the panel. They did the salute to each other.
D.
and
Bradley
then-
Baker, yeah.
Yeah, and they did it. They were showing us, hey, there's a little thing and it was good. So that was
That's
awesome. So, but that was a great scene. And then we get the next great scene, which was my buddy, Palpatine, Sidious.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that he said Lord Sidious. I don't know,
hold that thought, because I
Yeah,
want to
okay.
come back to that.
All right,
I
okay.
actually have a question around that, because we're sweating. On this show we sweat the details, and we really like make a big deal about probably nothing. But that's why I hope you listen to the show.
Yes, that's why we're
That's
here.
why we're here. All right, let's go through this, and we're gonna just touch on some of the bigger moments, some of the more discussion worthy moments. But it starts, obviously we pick up immediately with the Siege of Mandalore, and I have in the notes here that Siege of Mandalore is over. But then I don't know, is it over? I mean, do you feel like we're gonna get anything more? Because I don't want to speculate too much, because I know we're gonna do that here a little bit later. But do you feel like we're done? Like, where this is it? We saw what the Siege of Mandalore was, and now it's just pretty much all the kind of the aftermath and repercussions of that.
No, because I get the feeling. All right, so they're Maul. You got Maul, and you got Rex, and you got Ahsoka, and even the droids. Throw them in there, right? They're gonna want to get the heck out of Dodge too.
Sure.
I get the feeling the closest planet now is still Mandalore, because they just kind of
They
just left.
Right.
So they got to go back, because they got to look for Bo to get the heck out of Dodge, because I assume they realize that, all right, the clones have turned, they're going to turn on Bo too. So they got to go back, which will probably make that bond between Bo and Ahsoka even more of a thing. because I still think I wouldn't say a team up. I don't know, but I think they're all going to need each other to get the heck out of there. I think that's what they're going to need. And so, yeah, I think they're going to go back to Mandalore, and that will be the end of the siege. Because I think the Empire, the real siege, is this coming, right? Because they're going to the clones are going to be taking over everything. They're going to be, putting Gar in charge and everything else. So I think that's really the siege, because the gunships and everything else, I think this is where you're going to see the full might of the new Empire coming in and seizing control of that. And that's really the siege of Mandalore. That's my guess.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Yeah, you could be. So the Siege of Mandalore, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it can go. I think it can go both ways. We don't get the same battle like we had in the first 2 episodes, but it is interesting though. I mean, we got to see. We speculated that Rex was the one that gave Ahsoka her lightsabers last episode.
I know. I was so mad. I was like, I was so close.
Yep. Oh, right there, man. So it turns out it was Bo-Katan. How she got him, I don't know. We're not gonna sweat those details. I mean, those probably don't bother us too much. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, it does.
But and then we got to see Gar Saxon get imprisoned. They finally took him away. We know. So, spoiler alert: if you've not seen Star Wars Rebels, he actually gets put in power by the Imperials after the Imperials come in and take over Mandalore. So, Bo-Katan, when we leave this episode, anyways, bearing something else that's going to happen in the final episode. She gets put in. She's kind of now the de facto leader, and we know that she does lead them to some extent. But she's going to get usurped here very soon by the Imperials as they come in, and then Gar Saxon gets put in place as kind of like their de facto leader, ruler, whatever.
Yeah, I imagine they're all going to.
Interesting that they showed it at least. They
showed
him being carried away.
Yeah, because they're showing like if you watched Rebels, you know where this guy's going to be.
Yeah, right.
You get the. That's why it was like right there in your face, like, hey. You know what happens after this. It's almost like maybe foreshadowing of like this week's episode on Monday where things hit the fan and they're all like Ahsoka and everybody. They're like rats. They're living in the sewers and that's how they survive and all get the heck out of Mandalore.
Yeah.
Or maybe Mandalore. Well, the purge is after, obviously, but I don't know. We'll see.
There was a great moment between Ahsoka and Bo-Katan. I thought that was awesome when she was sitting there and she's basically confessing to Ahsoka that I don't know how to do this. I don't know we need a new leader. And she's so different than her sister who was completely, the opposite, right? She was all about peace and that didn't work. Their ways of war, you could argue, were successful for a period of time. But that came to an end. But
is she the balance? Because you had Death Watch with Pre Vizsla and they were all like war, control, and dominance type of thing.
Yeah, they were part of the old ways. They wanted to go back to the old ways.
And then you had the pacifist way. Yeah. Both ways didn't work. So is she amending of both? Because she's obviously related to Duchess, and obviously she was under Death Watch at one point. So she kind of can put both of those philosophies and make something work for Mandalore. I don't know.
Absolutely, I think we see that. I mean, I think we get a little bit of that in Rebels. Like we see her leadership style, and it seems to be a fine balance between the two. She's not afraid to have peace when peace is necessary, but at the same time, she'll, take you down in an instant if she needs to, and she's fully capable of doing it. That's why I love her character so much.
Yeah.
I mean, she's developed in a very roundabout way, not a direct way, but we can see how her development finally pays off later down when we watch Rebels, and she kind of takes it over, and then she obviously gets the Darksaber. So again, I know I'm spoiling a lot of stuff here if you've never seen Star Wars Rebels, but hopefully there's a story there. I think with Dave and
do we see the Darksaber next week?
I don't know because right now Maul has it.
Does Maul have it or does Sidious have it? Because he got taken, so Sidious has to have it.
Did they ever show him with it though?
No, because he doesn't need it. He doesn't. He's not for lightsabers or whatever. But he's got to have it. Have to have it. Because then you get that call in Rogue One where they say Darksaber, the code name. So maybe they have it, and then Gar.
I don't know.
Gar maybe says, "Oh, I'll take this off the shelf when the Empire is falling apart." I don't know. It's very interesting. So
I wouldn't put it past them if they did.
Yeah,
I think it would detract honestly a little bit, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I mean, trust me, I've already pre-ordered the toy, so I'm all for. I'm not in favor of proliferating the Darksaber as much as you can throw it on screen.
No, the mystery of it is what matters, right? It's kind of keep it a mystery. But in Rebels, Maul has it, right?
Yeah.
So how does this all? I don't know. This is very interesting stuff. There's find out.
Story here. Yeah, there's plenty more to go.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the pleasant surprise has been Maul and Bo. their characters. That's been a pleasant surprise. And each of them, you kind of want to know their story after this happens. We want to know Ahsoka, of course, but these two are a pleasant surprise. Like, we thought it'd be more Rex and Ahsoka. And I'm even curious with Rex and how he meets. And hopefully we get that next week. I don't know what's going to happen next week, but in any case.
Okay. So we talked about all that and the foreshadowing, obviously, of Bo-Katan as a leader. Let's get to the holotable, because this is one of those scenes that I think if you've seen Revenge of the Sith, the minute it comes out, you're like, I know that scene. That scene is, whatever. Yep. But there was a couple things on here. I mean, we got to see, Mace Windu again. They got through all of that. Is he just kind of like the apex
jerk
of a jerk?
He's really Mike Rondo when you think about it. He's really, when he said that to her, Citizen, it made me think of when you asked me when's the episode gonna come out. And
yeah,
when it's ready. That was like this. That was like the same
thing.
Thank
you, jerk.
Yes, but Ahsoka, I think she accepts what he said and she knows how he is, and I think she sees, all right, well, that's technically true. Like, this is their business. It's really not mine. I did what I had to do, and not only that, she was playing things close to her vest. She wasn't really, revealing some things either, which she probably should.
Right.
So
what if she would have told him right then in that moment?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, by the way, there's a vision that something horrible is about to happen with Anakin, and is it? I don't know. Yeah. It could have gone a lot of different ways, but neither one wanted to open up.
The interesting thing, which I just thought of, is it's funny that like the Jedi, because their vision is so clouded, they couldn't see what things were going to happen. But Maul, because the dark side is strong, like we mentioned last week in last week's episode, he's able to have these visions and see what's to come. And he channels it to the right person, but she holds on to it, and because she's more in doubt anyway. She's a doubting Thomas, and you can't blame him. It's coming from Darth Maul. But again, as we've said the past couple of weeks, lying Jedi, truth-telling Sith. That's how it works. And then they get the truth, and they reveal, it's revealed to them, and then they got to deal with all that, and then it shakes their foundation of what they believed before. All good storytelling stuff, but it's just an interesting point. But
yeah. So the I guess for last episode we were talking about what Ahsoka was wanting to tell Anakin, and she had a moment in here again when she didn't pass anything on, pass a message on to Yoda, but anything. So I don't know. I guess the question was whether or not, when he, there's a moment there where she has an opportunity to kind of pass along a message to Anakin, and she doesn't. But I was wondering whether or not you felt like that was the same message we were was alluded to in the second episode, or is this something completely different about, hey, I just got some intel from Darth Maul, and please be careful, kind of thing? Was it a different message?
I still think it's a different message. I'm still confused on that. I don't know. I've still got a lot to think about with that. Like, again, I think I need to see, like you did, 1, 2, and 3 together, and 4, like the whole thing completed, compress, decompress, and look at it that way. I still don't. That's still a bit of a mystery to me. I don't think it's so much that. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a good question.
Well,
what do you think?
I kind of read it as it was a different message at that point. I think based on I think Maul scared the crap out of her, and I think he may have put some doubt in her mind that maybe it was possible for her to, or for him for something horrible to go wrong. Maybe you'd call it she could sense it. We know they've got a connection, and maybe she was able to feel. Well, if you go by the Ahsoka novel, in some of the episodes too, I guess, but by the Ahsoka novel, they did have a Force connection, and it did, extend throughout the galaxy, whether it was dark whether it was strong or light, I don't know.
Yeah.
But in the novel, she makes a reference that she cuts the connection off, like she literally just turns off or hangs up the phone, if you will. So from that perspective, maybe she was starting to feel the anxiety, feeling what was happening right before, he ends up killing Mace Windu and turning over to and becoming Darth Vader. So some of that may have played into it. I do feel like, again, I guess what I'm saying is I think it feels like it was a different message, and she was really more concerned about his well-being and his health, or things were going to get bad, or the dark side, and so she was going to warn him about that.
Well, probably. I think with the when she was with Yoda and everybody, I think she wanted to tell him personally.
Yeah. Right.
Because she doesn't trust the council.
Exactly.
I think because she knows how they handle things and how they handle Anakin, and she was like, no, I'll just, and she believed, I'm going to see him in like an hour or so when I get there, She fully believed that. Like, I'll be able to tell him. And then that wasn't the case at all, as we know. Things went right out the window, literally, Mace. So maybe Mace should have just been nicer to people. I'm just,
Well, yeah, we've always said that.
Yeah, but
He's such a jerk.
Yeah.
What about I mean, she kind of hints that she, I think he asked her about as a Jedi or as a citizen, and she says as a citizen, and he's like, not as a Jedi, and she responds, not yet.
Hmm.
So I mean, there's it's nice to think that she was thinking about going back at least, right? The thought
Well,
had
I
entered
think
her mind at that point.
yeah, I think she, in her mind, she's like, well, Anakin's still got my back. I still believe that what the Jedi idea is. We've just lost our way, and maybe I need to come back to fulfill that and start letting that be part of the order. But and then you got her in Rebels where she says, "I'm no Jedi."
Oh yeah, at that
So,
point she's done,
like,
right? She's already hung it up and
yeah.
she's made peace with
So,
it and walked her separate way.
yeah, I'm surprised Yoda called her a Padawan. Still, I was hoping he'd say Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
I like what she kind of bestowed upon her, like, yeah, you're a knight now, whatever. Just kind of like a wink and a nod. I don't know. It's very interesting. I mean, how do you compare that point with those two, and then when you see them in Rebels, when the temple's coming down? How do you feel about that? Do you think it played off well? The same thing, really. He's in his thing, and I don't
You're
know.
talking about when she confronts Vader in Rebels?
Well, no, with Yoda. Remember when they're coming in the
right,
temple?
when they're
Yeah,
talking.
and she sees him, like he manifests, and
He seems a lot more respectful.
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe, I mean, we don't know what happened after that. I don't know if Ahsoka was ever trained in how to speak with the dead.
Yeah.
Maybe she was. If she was, then who knows who she's had conversations with. Maybe
Yeah.
something happened on Mortis that allowed her to do that. I mean, who knows? But
Yeah.
if it does feel like the relationship's a little bit different there than what it was, what we just saw, which would be the last moment they would probably see each other at this point. I don't know that they'll see each other again.
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
So,
No. Yeah.
all right. So yeah. Anyways, so yeah, Ahsoka was actually maybe she was considering. We don't know. We'll have to see how that. Well, no, we know how that's going to turn out. But it was interesting when they left the table because in the Revenge of the Sith, that scene just kind of closes,
Yeah.
right, and we don't get to see them actually leave. And the order in which the Ayla Secura, Kia Di Mundi, and Mace leave from that hologram is the reverse order in which they die, or in the order in which they die, right? So I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I caught it. I was like, oh, yep, that was first. That one, yeah, and then Mace, yep, that's right. They're all going to die here very soon.
Hmm.
And it's right after this scene that the music really kicks up. This is like the 8-9 minute mark of the episode, and we start getting into what we were talking about here at the very beginning.
Mhm.
And right on cue with that, we get the Hannibal Lecter,
Yeah,
Darth
yeah.
Maul in the ancient Mandalorian
Jedi.
catacomb,
Yeah, prison thing.
thing. What did you think about that?
I thought it was interesting. And it was funny that he had the mouth guard on and he couldn't, and he could breathe like Vader. It sounded like Vader. It was like an homage to Hannibal Lecter, Darth Vader, Han Solo, and Carbonite. Like all those things were thrown in one thing.
Yeah.
And it was pretty interesting. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was kind of, I thought it was a great way to introduce something in the past with the Jedi and the Mandalorian and their history and how they, would fight each other. And she says, well, it's the last one. Thank God we had it because we kind of needed it for something.
And this goes back.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to Legends, based on what we know, this probably goes back. I mean, tens of thousands of years before, during the Mandalorian Jedi Wars that were going on, and that's all. Again, now it's Legends. They talk about it. I think in Rebels, when we get the backstory on the Darksaber, we get to see some of that. I couldn't make it out, and I needed to go back and look at it. But the art that was on the front of this thing, this catacomb thing, whatever we're calling this, that art very much looked like the art that was used in the episode when who was it? It's a Vizsla, I think, that talks about, I forget his first name, but the Vizsla in Rebels that's talking about the saber itself and how its origins. It looks very similar to that. Of course, we got the Mandalorian helmet, which looked a lot like our Mandalorian helmet that we know of from the new show, right on the front there.
Yeah.
But they called it an era, a device from a bygone era. And she mentions there's one like really intriguing thing that just stuck with me. It was that they were outlawed. And I don't know if that's
by Satine.
Well, and I was to say that the simple explanation is they were outlawed because I guess they hurt in some way. And later on, when Maul comes out of it, he kind of falls to his knees, like didn't feel good. It wasn't comfortable. He was having a hard time breathing in there. There was something going on that was exhausting him in some way that he just kind of collapsed after coming out of it. So yeah, it doesn't seem like it was just we're going to lock you up and nothing else is happening. There's probably things in there that are poking at you or
Oh yeah, it's like an Iron
Injecting it with
Maiden.
stuff. It's an Iron
like-
Maiden, you're right.
Yeah, really, it kind of looked like that. But
So anyways,
yeah.
but there was a moment too, right there, right before the last thing that happened, Maul closes his eyes and it cuts over to Ahsoka, who kind of turns her head almost like,
Yeah, 'cause they have
was
a
he trying to
connection.
talk to her? Were they trying to connect? Did they have a connection there? What were your thoughts there?
I thought they established a connection. I felt like there's, and which maybe goes into that Rebels uh moment where it says Lady Tano, because now they're linked in this whatever it is. Like they had that moment, so I think they were getting that connection, and I think because Ahsoka was opening herself up to other possibilities that are going to happen,
Yeah.
and I think that played a part in it. So yeah, I definitely felt like they were going to. Obviously, I feel like that moment. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. Like where Anakin turns and everything was channeled through through Maul to her because of their connection.
Right.
I don't think it was so much because of Anakin. I think it was the reverse. I think it was Maul and his connection to Sidious, and it brought it all to her. Like it kind of was like a phone line, I guess. I guess you could say. So
Yeah.
that's how I kind of took that. But
Well,
yeah.
and we didn't get a direct team up like we've been talking about. It was
I
more
felt
of an-
insulted when Ahsoka said, "I'm not teaming up with you." I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
Dave,
Yeah.
Dave, you listened to the show and you didn't
Listened
want
to
to
the
do it."
show.
Yeah,
Made that
yeah.
edit like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we didn't get that team up yet. I'm still hoping that we do because I think that would be fun. But I think what's going to happen. I think if we do get a team up of them, it's because Ahsoka finally gives in because she's trying. I think at this point she's going to genuinely trust Maul because everything he said was going to happen has happened. Right? It's like you said. He's been telling the truth to her, even though he's got his own, motives behind why he's telling her the truth. But
Well, let
he's
me
not
ask you
lied to
this.
her, and so I think. Well, let me just. So I think what
Yeah.
if they do team up, it's going to be because she realizes that everything he said up until that point, even though she didn't want to believe it, even though she didn't believe it, even though she didn't want to believe it,
Yeah.
has actually happened. And so at that point, she's going to probably feel a lot more comfortable in go ahead and just trusting him, even though she doesn't trust again his motives and what his true desires are here. I think that's going to be enough for that pendulum to swing for her to kind of say, okay, fine, let's do this, let's get out of here together, and that's what builds that mutual respect that we see going into Star Wars Rebels.
I mean, did they in Rebels? I can't recall if they actually clashed fighting wise. Like
They do.
They do. All right.
Yeah, like right when they get to Twilight of the Apprentice I think it's the second episode. I may be
Okay.
wrong on that, but
I
it
couldn't
definitely
remember.
in one of the two, if not both, they have a very small, quick battle, and that's when Ahsoka falls off. It's very
alright.
reminiscent of
gotcha.
the Vader and Luke fight, but yeah,
Gotcha.
so they do clash there, but it's temporary because at that point, Kanan takes over and starts fighting Darth Maul, and then Ezra's doing his thing
Yeah.
up there. Vader comes in, all that stuff. But anyways, yeah, to answer your question, short
I
answer,
gotcha.
yes.
All right. I couldn't remember because I was going to say they seem to have this connection and this mutual, I want to say respect, uneasy respect in a way because, of whatever happens. And I do think we're going to get some kind of a mutual, not a necessarily team up, but like partnership to get the heck out of Dodge, where Maul can go off and be a criminal syndicate guy and she can go off and be Fulcrum and Rex can go off fishing. And Bo can just fight a constant battle of trying to free her people.
Yeah. Now to
so-
be clear, I just want to make one thing clear on Rebels.
Yeah.
They are together before that, working together because they do team up in there, fighting the Inquisitors.
Inquisitors, yes.
But and really, they're not fighting because they hate each other. They're fighting over Ezra at that point, right? Maul wants him as a Padawan. She's like, heck no, you're not doing this. I'm gonna, defend him, that kind of thing. So that's why they fight. It wasn't like, oh, there was leftover baggage here from what happened in the Clone Wars. It wasn't anything like that at all. So
Yeah.
okay, let's get to a really pivotal, probably my favorite moment in all of. I'm not gonna say all three of these episodes, but it's pretty close for me.
Okay.
But this is Ahsoka on the bridge.
Mhm.
They walk in and we get this great moment with Ahsoka and Rex, and they're basically confessing that they're probably, to some extent, they're one and the same person, even though one was born and bred almost as a robot, and the other is this godly figure as a Jedi Knight. They are still one and the same because they've both been brought up to do one thing only, which was to fight. I mean, Ahsoka, she did have a life before becoming a Padawan, right? But if you think about it, we've seen her grow up in the Clone Wars, and all she's ever known is war, which is not what a Jedi should do. And on the other side, so War as a soldier. On the other side, you've got Rex saying, he's kind of it's bittersweet for him. He's on one hand, he doesn't like the fact that there's wars, and he knows that people don't like that there are wars. But without him, he wouldn't be alive. He wouldn't have the brotherhood. There wouldn't be the humanity that exists in the clones themselves. So it is kind of a bittersweet. But I thought it was a great moment for them to really just kind of connect, and we finally get the the salute, and they kind of acknowledge each other as friends. They're very very good deep friends, and I think that moment was what helped a little bit later when he churns for him to kind of at least break free from that momentarily in order to kind of help him and help her. But what are your thoughts, I guess, overall on the bridge before we get into some of the specifics here?
Well, again, it was ominous and it was set up really well and heartbreaking because you know what's about to happen. And then, when she says, "Oh, it's probably more good news," and you're like, "Oh, no, 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 no,
Yep.
but no." And that's when you want to yell, "Just leave!" But it is what it is. You can't do much of anything. But they're both. I think that conversation was more of a play on what Maul was telling her. Like it was in her head. Because he said we're both pawns, just different, sides of it. Really, we're just a pawn in this big theatrical play here. Someone's pulling the strings. We're just doing what they want in the end. And that's more of the same here. They're really the same thing. And I thought it was good. It was an interesting moment with the lights going on in the background and, the clone that saluted her or whatever. I believe he saluted her and everything. And then, everything's about to go down and Rex leaves. And then you get the big moment. And then Ahsoka kind of falling to her knees, like having that moment of, now see, my curious thing is, I feel like she knows Anakin has turned and he's now whatever. And I feel like she always blocked out when you even get to Rebels, and she's always blocked out that Anakin was Darth Vader because she didn't want to believe it. And then the truth was revealed, and she kind of just faces him one more time and says, "I'll be there for you," whatever. And he kind of is like, "No, then you'll die." That type of thing. So
I'm not going to leave you this time.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, well, I'm just going to kill you at this point because you're part of my old life and whatever." But I don't know. What I took it that way, but I don't know. It was a great moment. It was like the last moment of good times with the Clone Wars, right? It was like the last moment we had where everybody that we liked is on the same side, and now it's
exactly. Yeah, it was it was a very emotional moment, and I will say that Order 66 obviously happens right at that time, and we didn't headcanons sucks, but that's not how I would have done it, or that's not how I thought it would happen. But I'm pretty happy with how it happened. I like the fact that it was really isolated. I thought we were going to have a lot of people involved and get to see a lot of things with Order 66, but I do appreciate the fact that he kept it close quarters, right? He kept it very personal between Ahsoka and Rex first before because we already know everything else is happening. And I get it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I like it was interesting to see her like physically racked with pain, right? I mean, she was like grimacing as things were happening. And again, I chalk that up to just that force bond that she has with Anakin, that she could actually feel that something terrible was happening. Now, getting to the question about whether or not she knows that he's now become Vader, I don't think she knows exactly that he's become Vader. I know she's got some I think at this point, given what we heard and given what she heard, I think she's got some very specific details about what could possibly have happened. And when we see her confront Vader in Rebels, I think that is the confirmation. Like I think at some point between now and then, she does get more confirmation, whether she's seeing it, hearing it, I don't know. But she very much is already accepted that was once Anakin Skywalker when she confronts him in Vader. Because she actually uses that to her advantage, saying something along with, "My master is truly dead," kind of thing. She almost uses the line. I don't have the line in front of me right now.
Yep.
So yeah, she does call him out for that. I don't know. I don't know that she knows exactly what. Now let's see what happens in this next episode. I think that'd be crazy if she actually did know that he truly did become Anakin Skywalker, right? I'm sorry, Anakin Skywalker actually became Darth Vader is what I meant to say. I think that would be nuts if she actually knew all of that, whereas most of the galaxy just did not know.
Well, let me ask you
obvious,
this, because we don't know what's going on, and I know we should save our predictions, but it just popped in my head, and I don't want to forget it because I'm an old man. I wonder if it's possible we're going to see her talk to Padme, looking for help, finding out that the twins, or she's pregnant, and Anakin's the father, I wonder if any of that gets brought up, or she's just running. She's running for her life. I'm sure that's the main priority. But would she get in touch with Padme to get help, to get to Anakin and to warn him?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Is that a possibility?
It is a possibility.
Because I would love to see that.
Yeah.
And then she tragically died. That would be an interesting thing. I don't know, but anyway.
Or she gets Padme's perspective of, hey, I got to go. Anakin just left, and I need to go find out what's going on. And she senses something horrible, or she tells her, "Don't do that," or warns her in some way. We're making stuff up here, folks. So
yeah, well, I'm just saying before, because you see her get on the ship, and Obi-Wan sneaks on. Do we see a moment before she gets on the ship where she talked to? But no, that kind of conflicts with saying Obi-Wan said you turn to the dark side, or blah blah blah. That whole thing. I don't think we'll get that then, because that would kind of conflict, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The other final note I have on the initial scene there, or that moment when Order 66 happens. I mean, we get to hear the dialogue right out of Revenge of the Sith, and it is the real actors and the real music that was playing, which I thought was super powerful. I really enjoyed it. It's not the first time that Star Wars animation post Disney has done that. We had a lot of it in Rebels. We see it here. Anytime there's Force Visions, we've gotten it. But I just really like that they do that. As much as I love, Matt Latner and everybody else that's doing the voices for these characters, I just like the fact that they go back to the well, the true source of that stuff, and because
that was appropriate for this. It was appropriate for this. I mean, why would you change it for? You did the scene basically in animation at this point. Just use those voices to match up. And
they didn't do that though when they were around the holotable. Like, they say the same lines in the holotable. Like, May says the same line, Yoda says the same line, but those are not the original actors doing the voices. So
no,
they consciously decided to use it in this scene, which I appreciated.
Yeah. All right.
The Order 66 happens, and this is another really painful moment because we've been talking about this the last couple episodes. Is whether Rex had removed his chip, whether he had not. Our best bet was our I don't know, I wouldn't say our best bet. We kind of secretly hoping that we would get to see the removal itself, or how that actually played out. We didn't get to see that, and we come to find that he actually does have the chip in his head, and furthermore, he actually does follow through with his orders. Now, that said, he did have a moment there where he was able to break away to say, call 911, go find out, go learn more about fives, and because I can't control this kind of thing. But him dropping that helmet was pretty staggering for me, because I thought, holy bananas, he's going to do this. And I thought, no, he's going to fight it. He's going to fight it. And then you could see him visually trembling, trying to fight it, and he couldn't. I kind of like that, even though as much as I wanted him to be able to be like, oh, my friendships, there's a part of me that was like this fantasy element of my friendship, my love for you is greater than this chip, and I'm going to overcome that, and somehow overrides that, as gimmicky, as silly as that sounds.
But that just shows how tragic the life of the clones are.
Sure.
Because they had no choice. And this actually answered a question I always had with Cody, where he seemed very irritable after the Kenobi thing. Rex became the same way.
Right.
They basically became the droids right after that now. Like, they switch. The droid army is done, but they become the new droids.
Yep.
And they follow the orders.
Following orders.
And then that's it. They don't even have their individualism anymore. They're completely, basically a mind wipe in a way. Like, it was whatever happened. And not a beautiful thing, but a nice touch is like the clones behind Ahsoka turning around. They got their thing and they turned around like they did it. When you watch the movie, you see the other clones. They're like, okay, and they do their thing, and they go about their business. So, it was an interesting moment. I'm kind of glad that it happened, because now I have a bit of more information when it comes to Cody and how he was like fine one minute and then he was just irritable,
right,
and cranky the next, and just maybe he was even kind of fighting that after it happened, and that's why he's
what
even
have I done? No, I can't.
Yeah, because that's gonna play once that's the order's fulfilled or whatever. I mean, it would be cool to see Darth Vader interact with Cody and then kind of kill Cody because he didn't kill Kenobi, or something. Like, I'd like to see the fallout of that.
But yeah, I think it plays into what we said in the very first episode of this last arc, where Kenobi comes in as a hero, with lightsaber up, destroys that missile right in front of Commander Cody, and you think, okay, wow, he just saved this. He saved his life. He saved the 212th life. How could he easily do this? Well, that didn't mean anything. I mean, if Rex is able to turn on Ahsoka when they just had this moment, it says a lot about how powerful that chip was, right?
Yeah.
And there was throughout that, as quickly as this scene was, there were moments in there, and I don't know if this was done intentionally, where he would do one thing and you go, no, he's not going to do it. He's going to fight it. And then something else happened. No, he's going to fight it. I know he's going to fight it. And then he has a
Yeah.
line, no, I'll do it.
Yeah.
When he said that, I was like, oh, he's going to do one of these things where he turns
Tricks, yeah.
around and shoots
the
clone
clones.
troopers.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that doesn't happen. He actually goes through with shooting her.
Yeah.
So I thought that all kind of just build up on the tension of that scene and ultimately what was going to happen. So he did. Okay, so here's the thing, and I this has come up.
Controversy.
It's not controversial. I mean, I again, one of the first things I said at like 2:30 in the morning, my time, right when the episode was over, what stuck out to me was the line from Star Wars Rebels where he says that he, Wolf, and Gregor, never betrayed the Jedi, and that they took the chip out of their head. I
think Wolf did. I think he killed him. Gregor was off on the desert island there or whatever. But Rex says, "I didn't betray my Jedi."
Yeah.
In that, and like, dude, you're kind of lying here.
I mean, well, it's again, so it's gonna be the certain point of view, right?
Which we go to that well.
Oh yeah, every
way
time.
too darn much.
But it is, this is another one where you're like, okay, he did not technically betray her because he
tried to fight it.
He tried to fight it, and then that last minute he threw out the go find 555 or go find Five's information, and then went through it. So from that perspective, yeah, okay. From that point of view, he didn't technically betray her. But I don't understand how you reconcile. And again, this is really not a big deal, honestly, in the grand scheme of storytelling here. But you're listening to the show, so I'm going to say it. Him saying we removed our chip technically isn't true. When that line was said in Rebels, I thought, oh, he took a knife and just dug it out,
yeah.
right, or whatever that looked like.
Yeah, he went Rambo.
Yeah, and then the way it played out here was obviously he didn't do that. He had nothing to do with it. He was actually unconscious, and it was Ahsoka who pulled the chip out of his head. So I don't know. Maybe I think someone said it in our Discord, and I apologize. I forget now who it was, but someone said, well, maybe that's just the memory of it. Even though over time the memories change, and whatever that whole thing is, it's a real thing, right? Where over time the memory starts to alter and eventually becomes something that really wasn't. But
well, as I said to you, I mean, he technically didn't, in a sense that he fought the chip off. But then the chip was too powerful and it took over. And he didn't consciously betray his Jedi.
Right.
In a sense. So, and technically Ahsoka's not a Jedi. So,
True.
I mean, there's that.
Oh, well, yeah. No,
Technically,
you're playing word games now. That's not even point of view. That's just word games.
Technically, Anakin's his Jedi. I'm just, I'll leave it at that. But,
all right. Well, let's, this next scene in the music, and this visually, I mean, hats off to that group. When Ahsoka's up there, and we finally got that scene from Star Wars, from Celebration, where Rex is on the ground, Ahsoka's on whatever it was. We didn't know what that was. I don't think I know.
Was that the holo? Yeah, it's the holotable. Yeah, yeah.
Holotable.
That's where Sidious was. So
yeah, so she jumps up there, makes her last stand before she finally escapes. I thought that was great visually, like just how she was deflecting all those bolts and the lighting and the music and just everything that happened in that scene was just awesome. So, I mean, hats off to the group there. And then obviously we get a lot of the music from Revenge of the Sith in that moment too, which I thought was a big standout for me. So we get to, the plan is now to go release Maul.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka does this, and we talked a little bit about this, but he's kind of finally putting 2 to 2 together as well, right? Even though he said early on in these episodes that he wasn't always privy. He was actually never privy to his master's plans, but he had over time been putting the pieces together and kind of knew this was kind of coming. And this was kind of confirmation from him that, all this has happened, and he was shocked to see Ahsoka. Like, how are you still alive? You should have been dead, right? And because I guess he knew at that point that it happened. But there's we didn't get the team up. That was, and not yet.
But this is a very Anakin move that she pulls.
Oh, it is very Anakin move. Yeah.
So
it's very snippy of her too. If I could say that, is finally get snips in here. But
I give her a lot of credit for like kind of putting what she learned the best from Anakin and Obi-Wan into this, like this whole whatever she was doing. She did very well and kind of used all that to do whatever her plan was, to think on the fly and do what she had to do, and still retain her being her.
Right.
So it was really good, and it was just when she releases Maul and says that, and she's got the saber next to him, and then when she says, I'm not pulling for you," or whatever she says to him, "I'm not
Yeah, she's
cheering
like,
for
I'm
you."
not here to help you, buddy.
Yeah, it was like she's very much gone the middle of the road kind of, in between. Sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm not, kind of thing at this moment. I mean,
know
granted,
Jedi.
everything was flying at that moment, so you had it's all survival mode there, which I thought was pretty cool. So
Yeah, I mean, and she's literally using him, right? He was talking earlier that they were both tools in this war, right? And he was trying to plead to her to kind of join him. In the last episode, he called himself a tool, and that's really all he was in this moment. He was a tool to her. He was a way to cause a distraction that so she could find enough time, buy time to go out
I
and
think
try
he
to
was
find
annoyed.
more
I think he was,
information about fives.
I think he was annoyed by that because I think he thought she would play the good Jedi and say, "Yeah,
Right.
okay," and he was annoyed, like, "Oh, darn it, she's more like not that way anymore,"
Yeah.
because she's taken the truth that I gave her and now is using it to survive in a different way than I thought. But he knows he'll be fine. He's gonna, and he went into OP mode again, doing his thing with the Vader thing in the hallway there without a lightsaber. But um, and I think that's where they cut. And it's funny because I think she just knows Maul now to the point where it pays off in Rebels. Like she knows Maul has just got another scheme going on, and there's another play to it. He's not doing it genuinely, and that's why she doesn't do it either. She's like, "No, you go off and do your crazy thing." Although I still think we're gonna have some kind of a not a team up, but a mutual way of getting out of Dodge, so to speak.
Mhm.
And they go their separate ways, and like whatever. Hopefully I never run into you again because maybe I'll have to kill you next time. So, but yeah, go ahead.
I would have
Sorry.
loved to. I would have loved to actually seen this in a theater or with a group of other Star Wars friends other than myself, my lonely self on the couch, wrapped up in a blanket with coffee next to me at 2:30 in the morning. Because I think in that moment when he's like, I don't know, I forget the line, but he's basically asking, "Hey, can you spare
me
a
the
brother a
lights-
lightsaber?"
Yeah,
And she's like, "Nope."
yeah,
That's like a moment you would have had like people cheering, right? Because like,
Yeah.
no way, screw you, dude, you're not getting one.
I'm not that stupid.
All right, exactly.
No,
So
ain't
anyways, that
happening.
was great.
Yeah.
So anyways, he ends up.
Well, it's
using
funny
as a
because
distraction.
I think he was surprised when she even says, "I'm not in it to take out Sidious. We're past that now.
Yeah.
I just want to get the hell out of Dodge and figure out what's going on and get to Anakin in some way." That was it. She didn't care about taking out the power. That's another day, another fight, another day or whatever.
Right.
But anyway,
There's I want to touch on one quick thing because I think this may play into the next episode, and it's a very quick line that happens in the episode. But the clone troopers run up to Rex and tell him, "Hey, Maul's escaped." He immediately he tells them, "Go ahead and destroy all the escape pods." So
Yeah.
it kind of sets up a scenario where even if they do get together, and we're going to talk about this here in just a little bit, but assuming followed through with that, there's no way for anybody to escape from the ship at this point because all the escape pods have been destroyed or they've been launched, jettisoned, whatever it is. So they're locked in. I mean, this is like, a cab. It's like a death cell, basically, a battle cage or of some sort, right? Um, so it feels like they are trapped. And we know they're going to Coruscant. And we've speculated on the last couple episodes about whether or not they're going to come back to Mandalore. I know we just talked about it a little bit earlier, but if they don't, I don't see them going to Coruscant, I guess. And if the book holds true, which is a whole mess now, by the way.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, I don't know how to maybe if we have time we can talk about it, but I need to reconcile
Well, we might
Ahsoka
have to do.
novel.
We should probably do an episode on it.
Okay. We'll
Like
table it.
that. Yeah, we should table that because I'm going to listen to the audiobook and I want to put notes down. I think we should because we're probably going to have a few episodes of the fallout of all this and figure out things. So we should probably do that and then watch Rebels and then kind of piece it together and figure it out. But anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, I won't get on a soapbox about the novel, but because it really is causing me grief. So they're heading out of Mandalore. They're going to Coruscant. If we go by the novel, she buries the lightsabers. Again, spoilers. Sorry. She buries the lightsabers. At least buries the hilts of the lightsabers in front of what is supposed to be Rex's grave on Mandalore. So they've got to get back to Mandalore in some way. So I don't think they're going to Coruscant. Maybe they do. I don't know. I could go either way. I mean, I think it would be a really huge diversion from the book if they don't, and somehow have to retcon that or whatever. But
Yeah.
Either way, wherever they go, they are in a spaceship now with a ton of other clones. With no way to escape. So I'm curious as to how the heck they're going to get out of this.
There's gunships. There's still gunships on there.
Yeah, true.
There's got to be a
They got to
Jedi.
get into a planet or of orbit
Yeah.
of some sort, and then
Yeah.
pop in one of those and get out. But all right, let's
Okay.
let's jump ahead to the droids. 'Cause-
This is and we were talking last night, and Joe, he didn't say it, but I know this is what he was referring to. So if he's listening or watching, just let me know if this is what you're referring to with the droids, because it was kind of like all this stuff that's happening, and then all of a sudden, whoop, like a sharp left turn, and we're like, oh, we're gonna do a droids episode here, right in the middle of the thing. How funny of you, Dave? Thanks. It was okay, and I get it. You need some kind of humor, especially
there
like
was some levity there.
Yeah,
that's what
need it.
brought.
You kind of needed that, because with my daughter watching it, it kind of was a nice after everything that happened. You needed that little break. Remember, this is really for kids. Although we've always argued on the show that this show never knew if it was going to be for adults, kids, or somewhere in between, and trying to find that balance. So
I think they've done all of it right.
Yeah. So I was okay with it. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that annoying. It was a plot device that helped them out where they needed to go. So it worked out.
It was a big hit here at the house when that scene came up, just because they saw R7, which I don't remember R7 being in a whole lot of episodes. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a while since I've actually done a sit through of all 6-7 seasons now of the Clone Wars. But R7 was, if you don't know, that was Ahsoka's droid, and it was cool that at least he was there, or she was there. I guess I don't know if it's what gender it ultimately is, but the fact that it was there with Ahsoka when this was all happening was kind of cool. I did like Cheap, which was played by Dave Filoni.
Yep.
And honestly, I've watched the episode a few times now, and if you listen very closely, you can actually hear like Dave Filoni's tone in there.
You can hear the
right. And it reminds
Yeah.
me of Chopper, he's
Dave.
like, maybe I don't know, he may have moved up as my favorite droid in of all time, even more than R2, because I'm a big Rebels fan, but I
Yeah.
just liked it. It sounded like Chopper, and he's like a CH droid and all that. And then Gigi was in there as well. So, anyways, that moment I think we needed it. I did like it was cool that we got to. I had to explain what was happening when R7 threw up the hologram images.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because I was getting questions of like, what is that? Who's that? What's that? And for anybody that was questioning what that was, they threw up Tup, who was the one that had the bad chip that
And he murdered the Jedi there.
murdered Tiplar.
Yeah.
Tiplar was the lady you saw in those holograms.
The Medusa head there or
I
whatever.
mean, they gave you that arc in 3 scenes, right? In three images. They gave you the entire arc right then and there. But unless you know about it, unless you've seen it, you probably scratch your hand like, what is all this about? So, we get to let's fast forward to the medical bay. I got a question. That logo for the medical bay, has that been used before? I know I'm putting you on the spot and asking you to really dig deep here, but
I don't recall. I'll have to look again because I don't even. No, I don't think so.
It's used in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
Was it used in? Remember the episode of the Clone Wars with the medical, not the medical frigate, but the station got attacked. Was it there? Did they use it in there? They must have. They had to have.
I don't know. It's really,
I know that. Yeah, it was.
We'll have to go back and look.
Yeah,
at
I don't know
it,
why we're arguing about this, but
I don't know if anybody that's listening, watching, if you're still watching after that moment, please let us know if you know what we're talking about here. But I saw it and I was like, hey, that's the logo for health, and I don't know why. Anyways, I thought it was cool. It was a nice touch that they at least stay consistent through all of this. We get in there and she's trying to find the chip. Now here's the question I've got. She can't find the chip. She's running through the scanners. And so her instinct isn't to go like
hack and slash,
search harder, right? Or go with a lightsaber and cut his head open and go, I'll find this dang thing myself.
I'll pull it out myself. God darn it. Yeah.
She instead decides to go up to him and do something that I don't think we've seen in Star Wars before.
Well, you know what it reminded me of? The daughter. Like
True.
I always said, the daughter is somehow one with Ahsoka. And when the daughter was laying down or something, doing whatever she was doing at that time, she was healing. I can't remember that. Whatever. It was just because she put her hands on his head. Obviously, she had to, but it just reminded me of that. And the way she kind of calmed herself and kind of was like, okay, this is what it's almost like the daughter was saying, do this. And she kind of did it. And it paid off there.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty cool.
No, I like that. I hadn't thought about that, or I hadn't considered that it was very similar. At least it kind of was similar to a callback to what happened to her in Mortis. But I guess it was interesting. Like I said, she wasn't she wasn't technically trying to find it or going through technical means to find this chip that she knew existed, or at least she thought existed. Instead, she goes up to Rex and tries to connect to him, a clone, tries to connect to him through the Force.
But that's a payback to what Yoda says in like the
very first episode of all,
where he says
you're
part of the Force or whatever, and that was a callback right there. That's the whole purpose of that right there. And you throw the Mortis perspective that I just threw in. It was an awesome moment. I liked it. I thought it was.
And
cool.
I saw it almost like she did all that, connected with him, connected with the Force, went through the mantra of "I am one with the Force and the Force is with me." All of that so that she could connect to Rex and say, "Hey, buddy, I can't find this thing.
Show me the way.
It's in your body. You need to help me find this." And that's why the light goes off, or it beeps and we found it, kind of thing. It's like, I mean, that's kind of hopefully that I'm right, and hopefully that's how everybody else took it. But
well, we'll see, because I think the important thing is, and I was hoping we'd get it like today, but I think they're holding off till after like Monday afternoon. They're gonna have Dave talk about these 2 episodes where he's kind of like, well, this is why I did this or whatever. I hope we get that, because I think that's important that we have him, and he knows that, so we'll probably get that. Maybe we'll get more clarification on this point.
Yeah. Him snapping out of that and saying, yeah, kid, I'm okay. It was a different, would you say it's like a different Rex?
That was like Rex, like when they first met. I took it like he's back to being when they first met. I think that's how he talked to her, to be honest.
I hadn't heard him say kid, or at least called her a kid in a while. Maybe ever. I don't know. I couldn't remember if he had done it or not. And again, I didn't do the research, so shame on me. I know it's only been 24 hours. So cut me some slack here, folks.
I do think he talked to her that way initially in season 1.
Yeah,
I had to guess.
And I kind of saw it as a way for him to be able to prove it truly is me, because I'm now using something I would have never, I haven't used in a while, right?
True.
That's not code word, but you know what I'm saying. So
yeah.
So yeah, anyways, I did like it. It was interesting. It definitely stood out to me. For him calling her a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways. Well, so sorry. In the notes, I had I want to talk about whether or not they betrayed and all that, but we've already kind of beat that horse completely dead here. So it ends with them. Well, the doors had just opened up. They got them closed. Gigi closed the doors. Gigi sealed the doors. And we know that something is coming through. And so I guess really the last question before we talk about some of the...
Is it Maul? Because that's what my daughter said.
Well, that's why. Who is it? Is it Maul? Is it the clone troopers that were outside? I mean, it could probably only be one of those two.
She says it's Maul. But I don't know. That would be... Because I don't think he would just willingly just open the door unless he realizes, I need your help. So we're going to have to work together. You may not want to team up, but I need to team up. So... we got to figure out what we're doing here, because we need to get out of this. And there's like a bazillion clones here, and there's only 3 of us and the droids. So we don't have a choice. So let's go. So that might be that.
Well, let me ask you this then. So because Maul, the way it looks is somebody's burning through that door, and we skipped over this, but I want to talk about Maul's powers as well too before we get out of here.
But because they're overpowered.
Well,
yeah, I did mention that. I mean, he was, but again, like I said last week, the dark side is stronger now than the light.
That's how I justified it too.
So it's amplified, so he's more capable of doing these crazy things. So
because that was another tunnel. It was obviously very reminiscent of
Vader.
Rogue One and Vader, and what he was able to do. But he didn't have a weapon, which that was kind of cool. The way he was making up ways to take these guys out. I thought the trooper.
He looked like he was.
Arm
I thought he was gonna. Yeah, I thought he was gonna lose his head. I was hoping for the bucket to hit the ground, but
and it's Mandalorian. Like that was the
Mandalorian,
right? In the first episode, I think, of the season, or the only season.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was a great moment for Darth Maul, and just showing how powerful and how adept he is at the dark side and of the Force. I don't believe that's truly what he's capable of doing day in and day out. I think that again is because the dark side is so strong and
at this moment anyway. Yeah,
sure.
At this Order 66 has happened. The shift has happened.
Right.
So it's probably at its max peak for him, so to speak. Because obviously later down the line, he's not really himself anymore.
He's like roided up.
Yeah, basically. Which I didn't have a problem with that, because it just shows the shift in power at this point.
All right, so take it back to that scene again.
Yep.
If it's Darth Maul, then wow, I don't know what he's using.
I don't think it is, because I think it's I told Morgan when we were watching, I said, no, it's like the troopers in A New Hope with the cutters or whatever, they have the cutters there. They're cutting through. Uh, I could be wrong, but
Yeah, I imagine it's the troopers. There's probably a lot of them now, and they're going to be on their last stand. The door's going to open up. They're going to be on their last stand. Maybe they lose some of the droids. Wow, what if
yeah,
R7 dies? I don't know. But right before all hope is lost, I think that's when Maul
Maul
swoops
shows
in from
up. Yeah,
behind, cleans up
yeah.
the mess, and then they figure out what's next. What they got to do.
It's basically a Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid kind of moment here,
Yeah.
where they're pinned against the wall and they're just gonna do that. I thought that was a great moment with Ahsoka when she's fighting them off and she was starting to lose, and she could tell, like
Right.
she's like, "This is it," and this is how I go out.
Mhm.
And then Rex saves the day. I thought that was a good moment, though.
Yeah.
Of course, Rex does what we thought he was going to do initially after the order was issued, but in any case, so
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode.
yeah.
Man, I don't know. So, what crazy tinhead foil theories you got going into this final one here? What do we expect to see?
Well, I got to be honest. I don't know because, like I've said, I've been surprised each week. There are little predictable moments that you're like, okay, but it had to happen for to get to here, which you didn't really expect to come. But I don't really know, other than maybe Padme. That was my craziest theory that I had, where she would talk to Padme and say, "Hey, Anakin's in danger. The clones turned on me and blah 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 and all that other stuff." I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, does she even try to reach Obi-Wan? Does she try to reach anybody, or is she just in the middle of dealing with all that chaos with Maul and Rex and everything else? I mean, is there a moment where she's trying to get in touch with them after? Like I said, I would like 10 minutes of them showing what happens, like with each character, like Cody, Rex,
Well, they did it in
Ahsoka.
Rebels, right? I mean, we
That's
got
what
to
I mean.
see-
Like something like that, but not even a voiceover. I just want kind of
just
music,
show you. Yeah.
show you what happens, and maybe her saying Obi-Wan, well, I'm sure she's going to see the message. We will get that. I think that's coming.
I would wonder. I'm almost thinking that the show ends with the message. Like it goes out to black, and the
Yeah.
only thing you hear is that message playing on a black starfield in front of you. The
Yeah.
message playing, and then right
Maybe.
after that, it fades to black credits, kind of thing. I don't know. I'm being dramatic here, but yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I don't really have any good speculation, guys. I'm sorry, I don't know because everything's kind of been tossed around. I mean, we've gotten through all of the meteor stuff that we knew we were going to get through. I would still like to see the lightsabers being buried to go back to the Ahsoka novel. So for those of you who don't know, and if you're cool with spoilers, eventually she takes her lightsaber, she buries them, and they put on this inscription, kind of on a. They never really truly explain what it is, but something is sitting in front of the grave of supposedly Rex. They took Rex's body, put it in, or they took another body from a dead clone trooper, put it in Rex's armor, buried that, then stuck something in front that said Rex had killed Ahsoka, so that they had killed each other, and they put her lightsabers there to kind of, give off the scent that both of them were gone, and then they both split and decided they were going to go out into the Outer Rim. That's kind of what happened. We learned that in the Ahsoka novel. I don't know how they get to that point. I mean, some of that they can still certainly do.
Yeah.
But I would like to see them do that. Like I think that'd be great to at least call back to that because a lot of, and I'm not going to do it. I promise, Mike, I'm not going to do it. But a lot of what we know from the Ahsoka novel, and it's not that much, but from what we know, hasn't happened. And if the moments that were very similar that did happen didn't play out like they did in the novel. So it's just a weird thing, especially since that's supposed to be canon. But anyways, that's one thing.
I agree.
I'm holding on for Kanan. Please.
I don't think you're getting that.
I don't think we're going to get it either. But again, here's me.
I mean,
crossing my fingers.
You may, because Dave might, like I said, if you have that moment of where he's showing what happens, you might have that moment before he starts showing like Rex and Ahsoka and all that. They might show him at some point just escaping. But I don't think so because he doesn't really fit in this situation. You know what I mean? It's like there's no reason to go visit him unless they're showing like the galaxy as a whole, like they did with Rebels. But I would like them to just focus on the main characters, like even Cody. Like I would love to see how the aftermath of that is.
Right.
And it would be cool if, in my mind, all right, this is my crazy prediction that we see Vader in this last one talking to Cody about Obi-Wan, and I think he probably kills Cody. That's just my wild prediction. I don't think it'll happen because you got to imagine they'd want to pull Vader in the Clone Wars thing just to show him, right?
That'd
And
be
that
cool
would,
if they did.
and that's a perfect moment to do it because obviously Cody failed in his mission, and maybe we get the line like, "Well, you failed me." He doesn't say for the last time. He just says, "You failed me," and that's where we kind of do that thing. I don't know.
What if? And here I'm being silly here, but what if it ends with Jason sitting on Ahsoka's lap, and she says, "And that is the story of the Clone Wars." Like this is all her telling him about. No,
no.
All right.
That is awful, Albert. That is absolutely
All right,
awful.
thank you. Well, on that note, I guess we'll end the main show here.
I'm gonna hit the button, so we are ending the show. So
are we ended? We didn't get to feedback or anything? We're not doing that stuff.
No, I don't think. I think everyone's left, Albert. To be honest, they all said, "Forget it." You know,
I'll listen
Albert,
to it later.
Yeah, we'll listen to it later. But in any case, I don't have many big predictions other than those two, and that's even grasping at straws. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're probably going to go back to Mandalore to wrap it up. Like that's the victory part, and then the other part is whatever what's the name of the episode? Victory and what? What is it called again?
Victory and Death, I think. Oh man, I forgot to.
Yeah, I think so. I think so because like that's probably what will be like they go back and they kind of have a victory of getting the hell out of Dodge, or you could say it's the Empire having the victory on Mandalore, and that was the end of it, and they all got out of Dodge, and they all had to die, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of interpret. I don't know. We'll find out in a few days when we come back at 3 a.m. and discuss all this stuff, or 4 a.m. There's going to be at 4. I don't know when we're going to be able to.
Yeah, so we're going to we'll end on this note, I guess. So we're going to come back and do the next episode, the final episode of the series. We're going to try to do this live. If both of us are able to manage to stay awake and our bladders are in check,
I'm going to have loads of coffee. So I'm going to be doing that, and hopefully I can stay up. That's the big thing.
Yeah. So we're going to do this. We're going to try to do a show immediately after. I don't think we're going to do it live because nobody wants to see either one of us at 3 a.m. But we're definitely going to try to record something just so we can get so when you wake up, hopefully we'll have. Oh, I don't know. I'm probably overselling this because I don't know if you're going to edit this thing immediately or not. But we'll have an episode very soon talking about this. And then I want to do one to kind of wrap up, I don't know, maybe season 7 or maybe the whole series in general, which I think is probably too overwhelming and daunting. But
well, I think we could do this before we leave here. Is we could do one where we're talking about this whole thing, this season 7, kind of our final impressions and that, and then I think over the summer maybe we can kind of start maybe putting together like a final opinion on it. Not a final opinion, but like our overall,
retrospective opinion.
Yeah, that type of stuff. So I think we can do that. That's
I like that again. That's how decisions get made in the show, guys. Right?
There you go.
Like
right,
that, right there.
Right here. Executive decision right here. It's just like when we go streaming. It's 2 seconds before we go live that we figure everything out. So
do we have time for anything else? Or are we done here?
We're done, sir.
Okay, then I'm going to do this. Let me just let you guys know that if you guys want to follow us, we'll have all of our links to social media and everything in the show notes. So please check us out. Please follow us and support us. Like the show on podcasts and all that jazz. We do appreciate all of you that showed up online to be a part of the show as well. I did see the comments and the questions. I thought that was great. So thank you guys for interacting with us there. Any final thoughts before we head out of here?
No, I think it's just time to get the heck out of here, sir. So we're just
we were waiting for the final music.
Yeah, I'm playing it now.
All right. We'll see you guys soon.
Later, guys.
You're still listening? Wow. That's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.